Hey everyone, welcome back to the deep dive. You know why you're here right here. To get right to the heart of things, learn something new, and without wasting any time. Today we're going way, way back to ancient Egypt to dive into a concept that might surprise you with how relevant it still is today. The Kemetic tree of life.
The tree of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to help us understand this, we'll be using the Kemetic tree, unlocking ancient wisdom and spiritual transformation.
Oh, good choice. It's so easy to dismiss this as just some old symbol.
Right. But it's so much more than that. This tree is a profound spiritual map, you could say. It's a way of visualizing how creation happened, how everything in the universe is connected, and, get this, it even acts as a bridge between us here on Earth and the divine.
It's like a symbolic ladder reaching up to the heavens.
I like that, a symbolic ladder. So in this deep dive, we want to climb that ladder, so to speak. We want to decode the symbolism, understand the core principles it embodies, and explore the mystical teachings embedded within this ancient image. What secrets does it hold? Why might it still resonate with us today?
Well, to get started, we need to understand the ancient Egyptian worldview. It's fundamentally different from our modern perspective.
How so?
They saw the world as this completely interconnected web where everything had a divine purpose. The sacred and the mundane were all woven together, not separate category.
And the Kemetic tree is a beautiful representation of this interconnectedness, right?
Absolutely. It's like a visual metaphor. Imagine energy flowing from the ultimate source, whether you call it Adam or Ra, down through every level of existence to each and every living thing.
So it was like a single, powerful current branching out into a million little streams.
Exactly. And each part of the tree carries its own meaning. Take the central trunk, for example. They saw it as the axis mundi, the very axis around which the entire cosmos turns. It's the ultimate connector, linking the heavens above with our earthly realm and even the mysterious underworld, the duat.
Wow. And what about the branches and leaves? They're not just decorative, are they?
No, not at all. They represent the amazing diversity of life all around us, every species, every individual. And beyond that, they symbolize the many different paths we can take on our spiritual journeys. It's like saying there isn't just one way to reach enlightenment. There are many paths up the mountain, so to speak.
Interesting. And grounding this entire structure are the roots, right?
Yes, the roots digging deep into the earth. This signifies that spiritual wisdom isn't some abstract concept disconnected from reality. It's deeply rooted in the very fabric of being, something fundamental to our existence.
So this tree is more than just a pretty picture. It's a whole philosophy in visual form. Now, how did they actually depict this tree? What would you typically see in ancient Egyptian art?
You'd often find a large, flourishing tree, sometimes even a huge tree with many branches. It would often be in a sacred space, a temple, or a tomb.
Okay, so the setting itself would already hint at its importance.
Exactly. And the sheer size and the vibrancy of the depiction emphasized its life-giving nature. It's not a withered, dead tree. It's bursting with life.
Now, you mentioned that each branch has its own meaning. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure, some branches symbolize the core elements: water, air, fire, and earth. Those building blocks of creation as they saw it. Others represent the celestial bodies, the sun, moon, and stars, reminding them of their place within the cosmos. And perhaps most profoundly, some branches embody divine qualities, abstract concepts like wisdom, love, strength. Each branch, essentially, is a channel to a different facet of existence.
So it's an incredibly intricate web of meaning. And I know from our research that the source highlights two specific symbols often found with the tree, the Ankh and the 𝗧𝗔𝗓 pillar. The Ankh, of course, we see it everywhere in Egyptian imagery. What's its significance specifically with the Kemetic tree?
Right, the Ankh. That loop-topped cross is the classic symbol of eternal life, and when you see it connected with the Kemetic tree, whether it's at its base or held by deities, it emphasizes this connection to a continuous, eternal life force.
So it's a reminder that the tree itself is a conduit to this vital energy, to immortality even.
Yes. And then there's the 𝗧𝗔𝗓 pillar, which, you're right, symbolizes stability.
It looks like a column made of stacked discs, right?
Yeah, exactly. It represents endurance, stability, the very support structure of the cosmos. Think of it as the unshakable spine of existence. And by including it with the Kemetic tree, they were saying that this tree, the life and wisdom it represents, this is a stable, enduring foundation.
Okay, so every element here is intentional, packed with meaning. Now let's delve into the core beliefs that the tree represents. Balance, harmony, and unity keep coming up.
And for good reason. The Kemetic tree is like a visual embodiment of those principles. It emphasizes the importance of equilibrium in all things. It says, nothing exists in isolation. Everything is interconnected and relies on everything else for its proper functioning.
Which brings us to the concept of mat. This feels like a cornerstone of ancient Egyptian thought.
It is. Mat represents truth, justice, cosmic order, the principles that govern the universe as they understood it. The balanced structure of the Kemetic tree, its interconnectedness, it's a constant reminder to live in accordance with Mat, to uphold this divine harmony in our lives and in the world.
Not just an abstract ideal, but a call to action.
Exactly.
Now, I found it fascinating that our source breaks down 7 key divine principles and links them to spheres on the tree. This gives it a real structural element. Let's explore these. First up, we have Ra.
Okay, so Ra, the sun god, he represents creation, that fundamental life-giving energy. Imagine the sun's rays as the very first spark, the source from which all of existence comes forth. He's at the very top, the source of it all.
And then there's Isis. What does she embody in this framework?
Isis, the goddess of magic, motherhood, healing. She represents those nurturing, protective aspects of the divine feminine, the power to heal, to mend, to bring forth new life. Her sphere, it's like this wellspring of potential.
Then we have Osiris, so often linked to the afterlife.
Right, Osiris. He's the god of the afterlife, but also of regeneration, rebirth. He emphasizes the cyclical nature of existence. Death isn't the end, it's a transition, a doorway to renewal.
So his sphere represents that potential for transformation through death and rebirth.
Yes.
Next, we have Horus, the falcon-headed sky god.
Horus represents protection, rightful authority, especially kingship. His principle is the triumph of order over chaos, the focused will needed to maintain balance.
To safeguard the cosmos.
Right. He represents clear vision, decisive action.
Okay, and then we have Thoth, the god of wisdom and knowledge. This one feels particularly relevant today in our information-saturated age.
It does. Thoth represents the power of intellect, communication, the ability to articulate ideas, and, crucially, to preserve knowledge. Think writing, think libraries.
He underscores the importance of understanding the responsible use of information.
Exactly. He represents clear thought, the power of language.
Next, we have Anubis, the guide of souls.
Anubis, the god of mummification, the afterlife. He guides souls through the underworld. He highlights the importance of transition, of ritual, in moving from one state of being to another.
So he's there to help navigate those liminal spaces, those times of change.
Precisely.
And finally, we have Sekhmet, the lioness goddess, a force of both destruction and healing.
A powerful one. Sekhmet embodies both war and healing, destruction and regeneration. She reminds us that sometimes, for true renewal to occur, the old has to be broken down. She's about that fierce energy of transformation, tearing down and building up.
Wow. Seeing these 7 principles laid out like this, connected to the tree, it really brings the whole system to life. It's not just abstract deities. These are fundamental forces at play, both in the cosmos and within ourselves.
That's the beauty of it.
Now, our source also describes the Kemetic tree as a path of transformation. How does one navigate this journey?
Well, think of the Kemetic tree as a living map for your own spiritual evolution. It provides the symbolic structure through which you can connect with divine energy, tap into a deeper level of knowledge. But it's not just about understanding these principles intellectually, it's about actively engaging with them.
So an active engagement, a personal journey, not just passive learning.
Right. It encourages you to cultivate virtues, qualities like compassion, wisdom, self-discipline, to align yourself with your higher self.
To bring those principles down to earth and live them out.
Exactly.
And what about this idea of ascending the tree? Is that a specific process or more of a metaphor?
It's mainly a metaphor for inner development, the pursuit of higher consciousness. As you deepen your understanding, you symbolically ascend, moving towards a greater connection with the divine. It's about integrating those spiritual insights into how you live your life.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's zoom out a bit and consider the bigger picture. Where did this image of the Kemetic tree originate, and has it influenced other spiritual traditions?
The Kemetic tree comes from ancient Egyptian religion and philosophy, a tradition that spanned thousands of years. And it's really interesting to see how this symbol, this idea of a cosmic tree, pops up in other cultures too. You see these recurring motifs, these connections between the earthly and the divine across many different mythologies.
Our source mentions a couple of examples that might be familiar to some listeners.
Right. We see parallels with the Kabbalistic tree of life in Jewish mysticism that also presents this structured system of divine emanations. And then there's Yggdrasil, the great world tree in Norse mythology. It also symbolizes interconnectedness. These similarities, they suggest something really fundamental about human intuition. We keep coming back to this idea of a cosmic tree.
It's a powerful image. Now, sticking with ancient Egypt, did the Kemetic tree have a role in their society, in rituals, beyond just being a spiritual concept?
Absolutely. Within those grand temples, you'd often see it symbolizing the pharaoh's divine authority. They were the link between the gods and the human realm. And you'd also find it in royal tombs as a form of spiritual protection for the deceased.
Protecting them on their journey through the afterlife.
Right. It represented the soul's endurance, the cyclical pattern of existence, the promise of rebirth, like a tree that goes through its cycle every year.
It's incredible how much meaning is packed into a single symbol. Now, let's fast forward to today. Does the Kemetic tree still hold any relevance for people in the modern world? It's not like we're all worshiping Ra anymore.
Well, ancient Egyptian religion isn't widely practiced anymore, true. But the core principles and the symbolism, they still resonate, especially for people who are drawn to ancient wisdom, seeking a deeper understanding of themselves and the universe.
And the source mentions that there are people today who are actively engaging with this symbol.
Oh, yeah. There are more and more people who identify with Kemetic spirituality, Egyptian mysticism. For them, the Kemetic tree is central to their meditation, their rituals, even their healing practices.
So even divorced from its original religious context, the underlying ideas still have value.
Totally. The symbolism, it offers timeless insights. It encourages balance, higher awareness, that sense of interconnectedness. It reminds us that life is sacred, that we're part of something bigger.
Wow. This has been a truly enlightening deep dive into the Kemetic tree of life.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground.
We have.
We explored its spiritual roots, the interconnected Egyptian worldview, the rich symbolism from the trunk to the branches, those key symbols like the Ankh and the Djed pillar.
We looked at the divine principles embodied by those powerful deities, Ra, Isis, Osiris, the others, the importance of Ma'at, balance, harmony.
We talked about its role as a path of transformation, ascending towards greater awareness.
We discussed its historical and cultural significance, its roots in ancient Egypt, and those fascinating parallels with other traditions.
And finally, we touched on its enduring relevance today, offering wisdom and a framework for modern spiritual seekers.
It really all comes back to that fundamental idea of interconnectedness.
It does. This symbol so powerfully illustrates that concept, that everything is woven together.
And that challenges us to consider our own place in this incredible web of existence.
Absolutely. So for you, our listener, here's a final thought to ponder. How does this ancient idea of interconnectedness, this pursuit of balance, resonate with the challenges we face today? In our world, which often feels so fragmented, how can this ancient wisdom offer you new perspectives on your own journey, on your place in the world?
It's worth thinking about.
It definitely is.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Till next time, keep diving deeper.